Just live it.
Yes. We
Just
are
live
live.
it is live. Yeah. Welcome, everyone.
Hello.
Oh, wow. It's nice to be here, first of all. We didn't make it last week. We've been transitioning a little bit.
That's right. Lots of
Yes.
transitions.
How is that feeling?
It's feeling good, but exhausting. But I'm exhausted and I'm kind of all over the place, but at the same time, I'm not. Like I'm feeling very settled, actually. Or like not settled. I don't know. I'm feeling very peaceful.
Awesome. Yes.
Despite the like physical mess and like, like the fact that everything's all over and everything is in progress and nothing is sort of sorted, nothing is physically settled, but inside I just feel like, yeah, no stress.
Yeah. So you just moved from another country, from Switzerland to Prague, Czechoslovakia, right?
Czech Republic, yes.
Czech Republic. Sorry, these names. Is that the new name?
Well, it's been the new name for the past 31 years.
Right. Yeah. So when I was in school, we still learned the old name.
I know.
Yeah.
I can accept that from people who learned that at school, but people who are like, who were like at school when it was already the Czech Republic, I'm like, you have no excuse.
Right. So today we want to talk about emotions in creation. And yeah, I would love for us to just kind of first land into our body, if we are able to have a pause or even just have a refocus onto this moment and sitting here with me and Claire and just live it live. Yeah, just feeling your breath, even taking a nice deep breath, just feeling how that flows in your body, feeling the seat you are on, or the floor you're standing, however you're positioned right now, just feeling that support. Yeah, understanding. So there's, of course, different kinds of emotions that we all experience, and this is a human experience. I think every person on this earth experiences emotions. And so the emotions, in my opinion, they're a gift. They're a gift to us, and they're also a guidance to us, and they're a tool for us. So we can have negative emotions, we can have positive emotions. And sometimes we've talked about, lower frequency energies, like, for example, as emotions go, could be sadness. And this doesn't mean that it's wrong, not at all. None of the emotions are wrong. More so what we do with them, that could be wrong or right. We do have morals and stuff like that. But so how could we use emotions in our creation? Do you know, Claire? Like, can you take a wild guess? Let's just make this real interactive and.
Wow, what an interesting topic, huh? You chose a real good one. We're diving in deep into some magic this time.
Yeah, some real core stuff.
Yeah,
magic I guess being given to all of us to explore.
I guess so. To preface this, we talked about it last time, but we need to sort of, reiterate that for anyone who hasn't watched the last one. So emotions are like emotion means energy in motion, and energy is kind of everything there is. So at the end, or like, on the at the base of things, everything is energy. So we are made of energy, right? Like we are made out of atoms, which are made out of particles, and these particles are pretty much 99.9% just energy. Like atoms, it's just like an empty space, and there's just an energetic
Mm,
exchange
mm.
between like the tiny subatomic particles. And you know, even like in our nervous system, like the way our brain communicates with the rest of the body, it's like through the nervous system, right? And it like sends all these like basically electrical signals. And what is like this electricity? Again, it's a form of energy, right? And we're like, you know, we're sustaining ourselves from energy from the sun. And so everything at the end, you know, and emotions are energy. Like there's, you know, an emotional exchange is an energetic exchange.
Can I do an experiment just on that, what you just said? So
Okay.
can I cut you off there?
Sure.
So you said emotions are energy. So let's just close our eyes for a minute. And this is going somewhere with our topic. So let's all think about right now, all is well, all is good. Just immerse yourself into the truth that all is well, all is good, even if it doesn't feel like it, even if that's not your truth right now. All is well, all is good. And just explore that how your emotions are kind of getting built upon but like the potency that you have there. You can build upon that goodness, another layer and another layer, and your imagination even start thinking and bringing into new good things and good feelings and good memories and good dreams and thoughts and so forth, so on. So now let's come back and open our eyes, and let's do another opposite of this. Let's think everything is bad. Okay, so let's close our eyes and just taking a nice deep breath and just start thinking everything is going to shits right now. Everything's just slowly going to shits. Everything is really bad. It's getting to be really bad. And I want you to just kind of explore the difference of this energy that you're feeling right now compared to what you were feeling a moment ago when we were exploring the good. You can even visit the good for a minute if you can. And you notice that there are definite, distinct differences between these two energies. The other one, and we can nicely just come back in so we don't have to stay in that bad energy for no good reason right now. Yeah, let's take a nice good breath and just center ourselves into this moment. So we could tell that there was some differences. So the other one was contracted energy, kind of heavy, dark. The other one was this expanded energy, light, exciting. There were certain emotions in there that can definitely be notice, you know, here is the joy and the love and the peace and the expectation, and here was the hopelessness and sadness and just, you know, let's just quit kind of energy, depressive energy. So why are we even talking about this? This is like the foundation for us to be creators. You know, if I can reference a Bible verse, it said, God made man in his likeness, and he made woman and man. And he said, this is good. So everything actually that he made in the first chapters of the Bible, he said behind that, it's good. It was good. You know, what if we could say that about our creation? Like every day we can say, this is good.
Wow.
This is good. Because, you know, we are that creator. And we do have that power. You know, you just so beautifully took us to the nuances of energy, you know, how there is just 99.9% space in that particle. In that little particle is space is 99.9%. So that space is the creation field. That's where we, me and you, all of us can send messages, what our life is reflecting of. And it receives it. There's no good or bad. There's no, you know, this is a good person, that's a bad. No, it does not, you know, it also says in the Bible that the sun shines on the good and the bad. It shines on everything and anything. Doesn't differentiate. It doesn't, what is that word, Claire? Discriminate. It doesn't discriminate. Yeah. So when we, you know, of course, sometimes we're sad, and there's nothing wrong with that. You know, we want to be authentically feeling and honestly reflecting who we are and what we're feeling in the inside. Like Claire, if I may, you say you were tired, right? So that's where we are. That's where you are. Somebody else may be sad right now. That's where you are. And it's beautiful to be right there where you are, honestly and authentically. However, if we don't allow that energy to be in motion, in emotion. So we allow that energy to flow through us, even if it takes days or weeks or whatever it takes. We allow that to take its course. And we come to that place where we have just kind of, so those are the times when we're not so much creating, we're just resting, you know. It comes like in waves, I believe. No, we take a rest and then we create and then we enjoy our creation and then we rest and we come back again. So you can have bigger waves or smaller waves in your life.
Well, I would argue we're always creating our reality, right? But it's, you know, we can't always be high. We can't always be high energy. We can't always be jumping, right? It's like, if you want to jump, you first need to like get down and like, you know, like kneel down
even lower.
And like, exactly, so that you can jump higher, right? You can't always, like, if you never go down, you can't keep jumping. So it's just, you know, like you made these waves, like everything, you know, comes in waves, right? Just like in physics, like it's, you know, the energy just, you know, oscillates, right? And it comes in different periods and in different waves of time, lengths of time. But I would argue we're always creating, right? And sometimes what we're creating right now, we're not going to see manifested in the physical world for a while, because it takes time to create certain things. But I would say we're always, you know, sort of resonating, like co-creating and reflecting, you know, our environment and vice versa. Like we're constantly sending some information outside to the world and outside to, you know, people and situations and different potentialities in the quantum field. So I guess that's sort of more what we meant to talk about today, right? It's like that potentiality out there, and sort of connecting on an energetic level with how we want to feel, or, you know, what our intentions are, right? And sort of aligning with that, like with that, if we have a vision, it's about aligning with what we are envisioning, what we are
right
we're creating.
And that's where we have those emotions, where we can bring our emotions in to that Well, we don't even have to have a vision, actually, if we know what we want to feel. You might want to feel freedom. You might want to feel peace and ease. You might want to feel joy. So you can, even right now, no matter what your outer circumstances are, even if you are in a state of rest, you can still use your emotions and feel your life, like we were just doing that in that example, feeling your energetic biofrequency experience, that you are the spirit, soul, and the body. And so you feel your whole existence with those feelings that you want to create. And you don't have to know what is the form that it takes. You may know that, but you can start with emotions. It can be very simple. So a lot of times people say, well, I want to be wealthy. Well, what does that mean? What are the emotions behind wanting to be wealthy? So there's ease, there's freedom, there's opportunity, the expectations can be very high. You can have joy, you can have all those things. It doesn't take away that you're not going to have sadness when you're wealthy. But most of the time when people are looking to have money, they're actually looking for an emotion that is behind that. And whatever it may be for you. For me, it would be ease. Just easiness, peace, freedom to choose. Then I have more opportunities that I can choose from. So emotions in this kind of way are very important tool for our creation.
So let's introduce this concept, because we're sort of talking, like going around in circles and talking about this, but people might not actually know what like the idea, like the concept is that we're trying to sort of talk about here. So there's this concept called, well, there's different names for it. So some, it's referred to as the law of attraction or manifestation, or some call it perhaps more fittingly the law of resonance. And there's this idea, and it's supported by science, which has been carried out, like research that's been done in the realm of quantum physics, that if a certain particle or whatever sort of body, right, resonates at a certain energetic level, at a certain frequency, because everything is, as Nikola Tesla said, if you want to understand the secrets of the universe, you need to think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration, right? So there's a certain frequency to things that are in motion. They have different frequencies. So the frequencies, it's like those waves we've been showing, right? Like the energy is transmitted in a certain way, and either it's either it's a high frequency or a low frequency, either it's going like this, either it's going like this. So there's different kinds of energies. It's like even a light, like even colors, it's all light, right? We see colors, but it's just a light coming with a different frequency. So it's just our eye that sees, oh, it's purple, it's it's red, it's blue. So depending on the frequency that the light is sort of like the way, like the waves of like the light, right? So if we like consider that everything is sort of made out of like actually energy, because everything is made either out of particles or out of different energies, like sort of like music or light or whatever, then everything has a certain frequency. And so this law of attraction, or like this, or you could say law of resonance, says that things that vibrate at the same frequency, they will be attracted to each other. So that's why it's called the law of attraction. So for example, if I vibrate at the energy of joy, then other human beings and things and situations that vibrate at the energy of joy will be attracted to me. And, to some of you, it may sound, oh, like there's this woo-woo magic unicorn stuff again, but we see that in real life, right? Like people who are miserable and they love to complain, they end up being surrounded by people who are miserable and love to complain because that's what they connect over. And like somebody who's happy and they don't see a reason to complain, they just don't resonate with that at all. So they just, don't really have many of these people around. They don't tend to be friends with these kinds of people. So it's only natural, right? And to the person who complains, like they really want to complain because they want it, they love it, right? Like they like revel in it. Like I need to complain. And so they won't enjoy spending time with somebody who's just content and doesn't want to complain. And so like they're on these two like different frequencies, and there's just maybe they meet very briefly, but it's like there's not going to be any resonance, there's not going to be any attraction, so they're going to go their separate ways, right? And I'm sure you all have that one friend who's like always lucky, everything works out, and you're like, how could this even be? Like, how could you get this job? Or like, how could you meet your favorite artist in the street? Or like, how could somebody give you this stuff for free? And they like always have these things happen to them in their lives. And like, I've had a lot of these things, like I constantly have these things happen in my life. But then you also certainly know these people who are like always missing the trains, and like stuff always gets lost or broken, or like they have issues, right? Like stuff gets like, delayed for them. And like, they're like, it's not even, and oftentimes you see it's not even their fault. Like it's genuinely, you couldn't understand how it could be their fault, but they always have these things happen to them. So you're like, yeah, like, of course it happened to you. Like somehow it's your fault because you carry that kind of energy and you always have these things happen to you. And I never have these things happen to me, right? So I for sure like have met some of these people, and it's like, sometimes really like it's not their fault that the train is like on strike when they really need to take that train and they really need to catch that plane or whatever. But it's like it happens to them, and it's like, of course it happened to you, just because somehow like they always attract these sorts of situations and people and mishaps into their life. So it's like it's something about you, right? But it's not something about you as a person, it's about the energy that you're carrying around. And actually, we all can have, there's different practices for emotional hygiene, energetic hygiene. And somebody that I sort of find very inspiring, I heard this in a video, and he said, just like if you're sitting next to somebody, just like smell them. And they're like, wow, he's like, yeah, smell them. Like, do they smell? Probably they smell really nice, right? Because they like took a shower this morning, they like, washed their clothes, they put some perfume, like they smell really nice. Because we all have certain procedures of hygiene, and we wouldn't leave our house without doing this, brushing our teeth, all these things, because we know we need to have some hygienic habits, right? Because otherwise we're going to start smelling in a very short amount of time. But he said it sort of astounds me that most people have absolutely no sort of energetic hygiene practices, because we're constantly surrounded by people who like dump shit on us, who like complain, who tell us bad things, we like have different worries, our own and our parents and our friends and our spouses. And just we go to the supermarket, and like the cashier is grumpy, and they like let it off on us and whatnot. And it's just like all these things, and they're being like thrown at us, right, from other people, on top of all the other stuff that we're like accumulating if we get frustrated or angry or sad or whatever. And some people never like tend to their energetic hygiene, so then we're like walking around with all this mess in our energetic bodies, inside and around us, right? Because we have a physical body, but we also have an energetic body, and it actually extends to like a few feet outside of us, which is why we oftentimes don't feel comfortable with people being close to us, even if they're not touching us, because this is our space. Like our energetic body doesn't end here, it ends here. And so if you're here, I can feel you, and you're in my space, and I don't like it, because maybe I don't like your energy, or maybe I don't want your energy in my own energy right now, right? And so I would say just like the first thing is just to start being more like curious and aware of energy and of our emotions, because they're intertwined, they're like almost the same thing. And just realizing that our energy and our emotions are always interacting with other people's energy, other people's emotions, and that also there's energy, and that can mean also like leftover emotions of ours, like other people, in like physical spaces, right? Which is why it can be so healing, for example, to go out into nature, or to get, like, for example, I'm not religious at all, but like if I walk into a church, it's like so peaceful. It's like, wow, because so many people went there and they sit down and consciously, with like conscious energy, they like were very grateful, they thanked, they were like, thinking of good things, they were praying, like they were very conscious. And so it's quite nice energy, right? On the contrary, if you go to like, like some place like where something bad happened, you're like, you don't even know maybe what happened there, but you're like, like, you just don't feel at ease, because like there's residual energy of what happened there, and you can feel that, right? Like, drop in the comments if any of you has any of these kinds of experiences, because I would be really curious to hear if just listening to us, if you can feel like, oh wow, like haven't thought of it that way, but like there are places where I go and I feel really at ease and I love it and I get creative, and there are places where I go and I can't explain it and I'm just like, yeah.
Right. And so that's a huge perspective. And if we haven't noticed that, that we can actually take upon other people's energy, that's a really good point. So I would love to also gear us to creating. So when you're creating, you're actually intentional about your emotions. So let's say, I'll give an example. You don't have a vehicle right now. You need a car. So you're maybe paying Lyft or Uber, whatever, every day, going back to work and home, and you're losing just a chunk of your paycheck because of that. So you don't just want it, you actually need it as well. So let's talk something about that is very essential. So using your emotions, using your imagination and your emotions. So you can close your eyes. We can all do this. Maybe you pick up something else. So now we have this car. How does the car feel like? How does the seat feel when you're sitting on it? Now you have your eyes closed and you're using your imagination. You're bringing emotions of comfort. Maybe it feels really comfy. Maybe it feels very safe. How do you feel inside when you sit in this new car? Maybe it's a brand new car. And you might have some flashes of thoughts. Well, I don't have a good credit score right now. I don't have any savings. So that's okay. We allow those thoughts to just come by, just like watching a train go by. It comes and it goes. And so we allow those thoughts to just come and go. We're not trying to stop them. We're not trying to stop that train, but just allowing the thoughts to come and go. And while they do, you're still focusing, how do I feel? How do I feel in this? And you might start feeling the burst of just joy inside, energy of excitement, and just maybe even ease and clarity and power and empowerment. And yeah, just taking a nice breath. And this is an example of creating with the help of your emotions. So you don't actually have to know where this car is going to come from. And once you do this, now we did it for a little while, you get a map of feelings, a map of energy, and you can remember this map. And while you go about your day, you can all of a sudden just come to that memory and just experience, even for a couple of seconds, what you just experienced, what you just actually created. We created it. We didn't just experience it. It wasn't just something that just, oh, wow, hey, we could jump on that train. we actually were intentional. We stopped and we went inside and we created. So this is how you can use your emotions in creation. And it is for anything. No, you could imagine a vacation. How the key is, how do you feel? How do you feel when you are on that vacation? What are the feelings? Not how am I going to get there? Where am I going to go? No, how do you feel? And you just allow yourself to be in that moment and experience that. And you will see things will happen when you just let it go. Like, for example, this is the way I got my car, my first car. I didn't actually have no way of getting a car. No way. I didn't have a belief that I would get I had a belief that I would get a car, period. But I got a brand new car off the lot that had few miles on it, road. So I did not believe that. But what I did, I just imagined, how does that car feel like? I actually put my hands on the wheel, on the wheels, and what is this? I'm forgetting English words today.
The steering wheel?
Steering wheels, yes. I put my hands on the steering wheel and I leaned against that seat, and I knew exactly how that seat felt without even really realizing it. But once maybe a week after I started doing that, and I wasn't obsessed with it. I just did it for a good while one time, and I revisited it a couple of times. I was very unattached. Believe me, I still believe that I couldn't even get a new car. So anyway, so I was just on a computer maybe a week later, and I saw Honda come by. And I'm like, Honda, let me check what kind of cars they have. And next thing, you know how they have the pop-up, give you your email, give you a phone number. Next thing, somebody called me. Next thing, I was at Honda. And the next thing, I sat into the car that felt exactly what I had imagined. And why it was because it had these specifically designed wings that come around your back. And that's what I imagined. So when I sat into that car, I knew right away, this was the car. And I told the salesperson, this is the car. I don't know how I'm going to get it. I don't think I can get it. And he just said to me, we're going to get this for you. We're going to do everything that it takes. And he did. He did everything that it took to get that car. And same way, my house, same thing. So it is that just simplicity of understanding that you are a creator. I am a creator. And you know, it is a truth and a given fact that we do have these layers that we need to unlearn. No, and it is part of the process. So we walk through all of this and we peel off one conditioning at a time. You know, maybe you were told, well, you know, Kirsi, money just doesn't grow on trees. Or Kirsi, it takes a lot of work to get somewhere in life. Kirsi, you can't just go and buy a car at the car lot like that. No, you have to save. And so all of those conditionings, they are actually beliefs that we now call our own, till we understand that, wait a minute, that there are other ways of navigating life. There are other ways of constructing our reality. Our reality has been constructed for us, and that's okay. That's okay. That's the way it has to be. We need to just construct it. We need to make that decision that we want to do it for ourselves, and kind of take assessment, you know, that take inventory. What is here? You know, what is in my reality? Do I want to keep this? Do I want to, you know, and it's just intentional, and it certainly doesn't happen overnight. But
Yeah, I mean, I just want to speak to the fact that, for so many of us, like it's just like you said, like it's like like people use this term limiting beliefs, but like if you tell somebody that it's a belief and it's not reality, like these limiting beliefs, like they're really the reality. Like we believe it's the truth. It's like the truth of the freaking universe, right? That like, like drop us a tree emoji if you've heard money doesn't grow on trees. Like who, so many of us, like my mom used to say, like, what do you think? I don't steal, it's like so many of us have learned that like life is hard, money is hard, there's never enough. Life is about working hard and grinding. Like life is about going to work every single day till you're 65 years old or how much, depending where you live. And, like so many of us believe that like we need to work and work is hard. And like life is like this. And like life is not easy. Like money doesn't grow on trees, right? And it's like we believe this is like the truth. Or like, my family, like for example, like my family doesn't have money. We don't come from money, right? Like
yeah.
we're not, meant to live like this, right? And it's like so many of these things are subconscious that like we don't realize that this is what we believe, but it's all these things that we believe to be true about the world, about us, about our family, about women, about people of, this ethnicity, people in this country, people with this background, blah, blah, blah. We believe like, this is just not possible for me. Like, this is what life is going to look like. And I need to be realistic. Well, I thought I was a realist, but then I was like, you know what? Fuck this realism. Like, I'm just gonna create some magic. And I love the stories that you shared. And I have so many stories I could share that I'm like, I have no idea how that happened. Like, when I manifested houses like that for free, I was just like, I'm gonna move because I don't want to live here and something's gonna show up. And then like this friend offered me to stay in this apartment for free. And then I had to move out. And then I'm like, I'm not moving back with my parents. Like something's going to show up. And then this person I don't even know that I met once, like 10 years ago, never spoke to again, just reaches out to me. It's like, hey, I saw you're looking for a place. Like I have this apartment, like I'm not staying there. You could stay for free. Like I want to help you because I see you're a traveler. Like there you go. And I was like, dude, I don't even know you. Like, and this guy just leaves me his apartment for like, I stayed there for free for 3 months and it was amazing. And it's like, I have no idea. Like, I was just so resolute. I was like, I am gonna stay somewhere else. Like this was 3 years ago. I was staying in Prague in my friend's apartment for free. And because I, didn't have the funds to like pay rent because I was studying, and I actually had accommodation in Beijing where I had been living, back then. And then because of COVID, I couldn't go back. Long story, right? But which by the way, I believe I also created because I was like, I loved having these crazy stories. It's like, oh, like I was locked out of China and China did this to me, and I have so many stories to tell. Like I loved it, right? And a part of me still enjoys it. It's like I have all these crazy stories, like my stuff stayed there and I had to move and da da da. Like, I created this because I loved having these crazy stories and being that person who has this complex, adventurous life, right? So it's like now it's just like realizing like, oh, I also attracted that to my reality because a part of me really wanted that, right?
Exactly.
Like wanted this exciting, adventurous, crazy life around the world, right? So anyways, back to that story, I was staying here in Prague in my friend's place, and it was only available for 1 month. And before I moved here, I was staying with my parents, and, I enjoyed staying with my parents, but their apartment is very small. And like during lockdown, it was very tight in there. Right. So I was like, okay, I need some space for myself to be able to focus better. And I loved being here in Prague in this apartment. And I was like, I'm going to stay in Prague. Like, I don't know how I'm going to make it happen, but I'm going to stay here. And my mom is like, when are you coming back? I'm like, I'm not coming back. She's like, but where are you going to stay? It was like, I don't know, but I know that I'm not coming back. And then I posted something on Facebook, and then this person reached out and they offered me a really good deal. Like it was really cheap and it looked nice. And I was like, I don't want to pay and I don't want to live with these people. Like it's really good. It's like almost too good to be true, but I know I can do better than this. And I had no idea, right? And the next day, like this guy that I had met, like 8 years before that at one conference, and then I had never spoken to him again, never like remember even seeing anything he posted on Facebook, like never remember any interaction with him, no common friends. This person just messages me offering me to stay in his apartment for free, and I was like, what what just happened, right? And it's like, and I could tell you stories and stories and stories, but it's like, when we decide that something different is possible, something magical, right? Something different than all these beliefs that like, this is not how life is. People don't give you shit for free. Money doesn't go on trees. Like people from our family don't get, successful, blah, 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 blah. If you just decide like, I'm going to claim something different for myself. I'm going to claim a different reality for myself. You say this is reality. Well, I'm going to have a belief that I am powerful. I'm a creator, powerful enough to create a different reality for myself. If you just proclaim that and you have that belief and you just can truly align in that and you like feel that goodness of it, right? It's like how good it would feel, like how just what Kirsi was explaining, right? How she fell into like holding that steering wheel and how good it would feel, how she could just lean back into the seat and be like, this is my car. Like, how good does this feel, right? Like, if you can just feel that, like, how good would I feel if I had that thing? And you just believe like, wow, this would be so good, right? Like my life would be so good and I could do so many great things. And it would be good, not just for me, but for other people, because I would be in a better mood. Like I would be more creative, create things that could help other people in this world. Like if you just feel into that and you like believe in that power of that creation, like you have no idea how, but things just start happening in your life and things just start landing in your reality. It's like, what the heck happened? Like I didn't do this. Like this person just messaged me out of the blue, or like this car just appeared on the website, like against all the odds. And this salesperson just made it happen. Like, I don't know how, like nobody else had this happen, but it happened to me. And I'm just so grateful. And something's happening here, right? I can't quite describe it, but there's something magical going on. And maybe I created
it. Sorry, did you still have something? So it just dawned to me while you were talking, in the beginning, we were talking about we had this experiment of just imagining the good, and it was just one layer at a time. And you could just sense, I could sense that the space of that good was just expanding and expanding and expanding. And, I'm sure you have, maybe even practiced yourself, gratitude journal in the morning. And it's just a beautiful reminder for all of us that it is really we do really create our own reality. We do have an option to create our own reality. Maybe we're a little bit complacent. Maybe we don't really intentionally think about this as we're talking about it today. But the reality is that if you open your day and you create that space every morning for yourself to just really sit within your own beautiful bioenergetic existence, and you find your own center, and it's so much easier to do it in the morning before you start doing anything else. So you find your center and you just start breathing in all the goodness that you can imagine, the peace, the tranquility, the easiness of life, the fun, the excitement, whatever it is that you want to create. And you just calmly sit in those emotions and you allow those emotions just like get more fervent and build upon each layer. And whatever time you set for that, as you can just like now feel, it starts feeling timeless. Like I could sit here forever, it feels like right now. But there is that unction when you will know, okay, now it's time to start doing other things, but you can set a timer for yourself. And if you're not used to this, maybe first even couple of minutes only, and then 5 minutes, and then 10 minutes, and just extend that, because you will thank yourself. You will thank yourself. There's such beautiful benefits that come out of setting times like this for yourself. And the simplicity of it is, you don't have to know how those things will happen. You don't even need to know details. But what happens is you're actually, so we all have been given a tool, a huge tool, and that's faith. And that simply means that you believe in things that you cannot see. It's the evidence of things that are not seen. It's a substance of things hoped for. But if you never come to that substance, that you don't just stop and allow yourself to be that little girl, allow yourself to be that little boy who it was so easy at one point to dream and to vision things that were not there. But we all have been given that ability to throughout our life. And I think it's just one of those things that we need to unlearn, that, hey, it's only for the kids, or it doesn't work for me. I just need to really grind and, work myself.
Yeah.
But no, you can create yourself
Yeah.
through different places. And yeah.
I love that. I loved when you said that thing that, we have a choice how we see the world and like how we see reality. And the way I like to explain this, it's like, there is no objective truth. It's like we all, even when we say we're objective or we're realistic, like we always have our own interpretation and like our own view of things and of life and of situations and of, and it's like, if you talk to somebody else, even like the way you see them and how they see themselves, the way you see yourself and how they see you, like you realize, a certain situation, like you see it as a good thing, they see it as a bad thing. It's like, we always have our own interpretation of everything. Right. And it's like, you can imagine that you're wearing glasses and they're like shaded, like we always have a filter, actually, like everything we're looking at, it's like tainted by a filter that we have. And some people have like these rosy glasses, right? It's like, oh, everything's beautiful, like it's great and this and that, and maybe it's true, maybe it's fake, like it doesn't matter, right? But it's like, and some people have like these gray glasses, right? It's like, oh, like everything just feels so heavy and it's like everything is bad and it's like something new, and you'll be like, oh, there's something new happening, that's great. And they're like, yeah, but now it's gonna create more problems. And you're like, dude, like be happy first. And then it's just like everything you do for them or you say or happens, they're like, oh, but now it's only going to be more problems and it was better the way it was. Like they'll just always find everything, right? Like in a negative way, right? And so just imagine that you're wearing these glasses and they have like this shade on them. Just like, what color is it? Like ask yourself, right? Like what color is it? And how would it be if you just tried for a day to like change the color, right? If you see everything pink, like how would it be if you saw everything green or gray for a day, right? And if you wear them, I don't know, gray, like how would it be if it was yellow or blue today? Just like, what if everything that happens, you would just ask yourself like, well, what's the good thing about this? Or how could it be good? How could it be good for me? How could it be good for somebody else, right? Like, and it's just, the thing is that we have like all these like these circuits in our brain, and our brain just tends to send the signals in like the neural pathways that we have already created. And that we like, every time we think in a certain way, every time there's a connection between this thing and this thing, like the neural pathway between these two centers of the brain and between these two thoughts is strengthened, right? And so if always we think in negative ways, or if every time somebody says something, we start thinking like 10 steps ahead and worrying what could potentially go wrong, these pathways, they're like very, very strong, right? Because we're constantly reaffirming and strengthening this pattern. But if, so that's why for some people who have different, like certain, ways of thinking, they always tend to fall in these ways of thinking. So somebody who worries, they'll always worry, and they'll always worry because that's what their habit is, right? That's how they how they're used to think. But so, you know, sometimes for somebody it can take a lot of conscious effort to just try, like put some effort into like, let me try to think in a different way, because it's just like these connections are very weak in your brain, or they're not even
Right.
existing. But I just want to say that like Kirsi said, like we have a choice. And even if it may be hard, like we always have the choice to like try to play with a different worldview, or like try to bring in some new emotions, and like they're always accessible. Like sometimes they may be more
Yeah.
accessible, sometimes they may be less accessible, but we can always find something that we can be grateful for, right? Like that's a very easy start. It's like, do you have food on the table today? Do you have a roof above your head? Do you have
Mhm.
somebody to call? You know, did somebody say hello to you today? Like somebody cares about you. Like there's always something you can be grateful for, and it can be even the small things. And there's
Mhm.
always a way to start, right?
Yeah, and we started talking about energy, and so like we already established, emotions are energy. Energy is everything. Energy is in everything. So if we think about, let's take a child. Uh, oh, can you hear my dogs? Stop. Must be the mailman. So if let's take a child, for example. This child is living in a very dysfunctional family. There's a lot of alcohol, there's a lot of maybe other drugs, there's a lot of anger, there's a lot of dysregulation. So this child learns this environment. That's the first environment that this child will learn. So the child is connected to these emotions of anger, resentment, sadness, confusion. You know, the child will learn these emotions. So his life is constructed of that reality. So his thought life is also constructed from that reality. He will see glimpses of other realities, and he will start knowing and understanding that this is not the only reality there is. Oh my goodness. And so the question comes, how can I shift this reality? And I believe that the key is our imagination and our emotions. So what the child cannot do is just take control. He cannot take control on the outer existence, but he can take control in the inside. So he can, of course, this child comes to understand that, oh, I have my own reality, and these are we have movies of these, you know, where orphan is realizing their own existence and constructs their whole reality. And so that is the same with anyone. We come to understand that we have tools and we have choices, and imagination and our emotions can take us anywhere. And that is creating. We don't need to do anything on the outside, nothing, except just to keep on creating. And the steps will be shown. You know, there will come a time when we do need to take action, and we get to even choose, do we now actually want what we have created, or do we want to stay in the familiar and keep experiencing that old? Because taking the leap to the new, even though you have created it yourself and you have been given the steps to do it, still takes courage and decision and even support from other people that will always be there. But this was kind of our wrap up for today. I hope that we all got something out of this. I certainly feel like I was reminded myself how powerful we are and how we do get to choose. We get to choose today. Um,
Yeah, I guess maybe I just want to say one last quick thing, just like you said, we get to choose. So like we get to choose if we want to believe something else and if we want to have hope or if we want to continue worrying. I just wanted to speak shortly about worrying because there's a lot of people who constantly worry, and it's a very normal human thing that we constantly worry about what could go wrong and how could we prevent it, right? But the vast majority of times, worrying about things that could possibly happen, but most probably will not happen, like how much energy are you investing into worrying? And just knowing that where you put your energy, literally, like that's what you're creating in your life. So just noticing how much energy we invest into creating and designing negative outcomes that we do not want in our, like in the fields of potentiality, like we're creating it in like the field of, different scenarios that are like the potentials, out there in the realms and, the quantum space. Like how much energy are you investing in that, and why are you investing your energy in things that you do not want, right? Because where you put your energy, where you put your attention, where you put your intention, is what you're creating in your life, right? What you're
Right.
attracting, right? So
That's where
just
the power goes. Yeah, that's
so
where
it's
the
like
energy
wherever you
flows.
start worrying, just ask yourself, is this really like possible and likely at this point? And if yes, ask yourself, can I do something? Like, can I take positive action right now that would, make a positive difference, right? And if you can, okay, then it's, worth worrying about it. But if it's probably not going to happen, and if there's not much that you can do right now that's actually going to make a certain positive difference, like you're just wasting your energy, right? So like you might take that energy and put it into believing, into creating, into, like having these good, like positive feelings, intentions, and like believing, like visioning, dreaming, right? Like dreaming up your life.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. Yeah, a great reminder because we're always creating something. So
Yeah.
we might as well make it something that we're gonna enjoy.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you all for joining us, and we will see you next time.
Yeah, drop us a comment if you have any questions. We'd love to hear from you. And we'll see you next week.
All
Bye.
right, let's create some good stuff.
Bye.